Hello matey, welcome back to the channel. Coventry 2, Millwall 1, and oh, what a game of football that was. I mean, if you're a neutral watching that, you are absolutely loving life. It's one of those games, end-to-end action. They had so many chances. We could have conceded 3 or 4 goals if they were actually critical in front of goal or crucial, whatever you want to call it. And at the same time, we were pretty good in front of goal. We got the 2 goals that we needed to get over the line. Hadji Wright scoring again, second game in a row. Absolutely fantastic from him, showing his worth once again to the side. Is when he's asked and when he can put on the pressure, he does so, and he looks so good. He looks like a completely different footballer, doesn't he? Romain Esse getting his first goal against one of his former clubs, Millwall, which is funny because in the reverse fixture last year he did score against us, so it kind of makes sense that he had to score against them. It's one of those things in football. Ex-player comes to your stadium, you score a goal against them. It's one of those things. But fantastic performance going forward. Defensively, I'm not too sure about it. Midfield, again, not too sure, but we'll dive into all of that in this match reaction. So if you go on to enjoy it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to hit 800 subscribers before the end of January. And as always, let's jump straight into the match reaction. So as I mentioned, the first half, we were the better side. I think we dictated tempo for most of it. Grimes looked good on the ball, looked very sharp. Second half, he fell off a cliff. Everything was going down, sort of the wings. I wouldn't say necessarily one wing was favoured over than the other. Mason Clark had some good drives on him, obviously gets credited for the pre-assist for the goal where he did whip it into the box. Hadji Wright had that shot on target and then Esse followed it through. That's perfect by Esse. That's what you want your players to do, and if he wasn't there, we wouldn't score that goal. So it's fantastic by him, giving it a little bit of a dance towards the Millwall fans. I don't know if that felt like something a little bit nasty towards them, or if it was in good gesture, or they were jeering him because they didn't know if the ball went over the line because it went to the GDS system. But I think it was a really good performance by him on the right hand side. He fell off a little bit towards the second half just because he hasn't played for us and he doesn't play this Lampard way, which we all know is very explosive, very hard working, especially if you're a winger. You get put through your paces where you have to work back, you have to work forward a lot, and you can see that in the second half, probably around this 55th, 60th minute, he needed to come off. I think Lampard made that change a little bit too late, but in the end, the game panned out how it did. Maybe if we took him off a little bit earlier, brought on Tats Sakamoto, we would have lost that game. You just don't know. It's one of those things where people like to say, in hindsight, should have taken them off, but it all worked out for the better. Mason Clark, again, finally getting some fouls against him. Same with Hadji Wright, where they're a big build player and they're finally getting the fouls that they deserve. You know, tugs on the shirt, getting pushed to the ground, they finally got given it. There was a penalty shout by, was it Matt Grimes in the box? Okay, I'll put my hands up, that's not a penalty. He absolutely dived in the box and he should have been booked. Let's be real. We've got to call it out for what it is. That was a humongous dive in the box, but referee finally got it right for once. But let's be real, he wasn't going to give it anyway. So yeah, I think the first half of football, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect. They had 2 or 3 good chances going forward where on another day, if their strikers or wingers had composure on the ball, they would have absolutely slotted it away, and we could have gone into that first half 2 or 3-0 down, let's be real. The one on the left-hand side where he should have squared it to their striker, but Milan did a really good job of closing down the 2 players. He was sort of towards the player who had the ball on the left, and he cut it out just at the perfect moment. The ball across was terrible anyways, but that's what you want from your defenders, is splitting those 2 attacking forwards is a really hard thing to do, and you don't have eyes in the back of your head. You've got to quickly do that head check before they actually play that ball around. So Milan did fantastic there. The second one was when they're on the right hand side and he just had the shot and he skewed it to the left hand side. We're allowing players in games to have shots too easy, especially with their first goal where he has it down the right hand side and we don't close them down enough. And I've said this the past few games, and it's obviously instructional by Lampard. I personally don't like it, but it's the way that we play, is we let their wingers have the ball on the edge of the box and let them whip it into the box, which is something that Millwall have done really well this season, is getting balls into boxes via crosses, and they just converted it. I mean, it's a fantastic finish. Let's be real, it's world class, first time, but the marking in the box could be a lot better. De Silva closing down could be a lot quicker, could be a lot sharper towards him. But at the end of the day, we find ourselves 1-1, and it's probably a fair assessment. Could be 2-1 to them, could be 2-1 to us, but I think 1-1, when you look at the whole 45 minutes, was a fair game. And a problem that you could see, especially in the second half, is Matt Grimes in the midfield. He usually likes to drop into the back three, create that defensive line, and then you have the player next to him, who was Josh Eccles today, trying to cover for him. It didn't work out as well as we hoped it did. There was a few times where there was just a gaping hole in the midfield. It was almost like we were a donut. There's nothing in the midfield. You have Grimes as the three, two midfielders there, and there's just that big gap right there. And I feel like if we want to make our midfield more compact, you either have to tell the player who's playing alongside Grimes to drop back and play it as basically a sweeper in front of the back five, or you get somebody in through the doors who's experienced, who knows how to deal with that sort of thing, because it's time in again. I like Grimes, I do. I think he was really good today in the first half. Second half kind of got a bit leggy. You could tell he was just losing it, but he needs help in that midfield because he's constantly going on to the left-hand side, helping De Silva out because Mason Clark has huffed and puffed his way up the wing and he's not able to cover back. So Grimes has to become sort of like a left mid, and he leaves a gaping hole on that right hand side. And what happens is we commit Jack Radoni, we commit Eccles to the attack, and there's that big hole on the right hand side where no one's occupying and they just exploit us there. So that's something that we need to be a little bit careful coming up against the bigger teams or the better teams in this league, because they'll exploit that and will concede goals. So people will criticize Grimes and probably say that he's a bit leggy, but at the same time, it's not his fault. It's the player next to him not helping out defensive duties. Milan today, again, as I mentioned, perfect. De Silva, questionable at defending. I've mentioned this a few times. When we didn't have him in the starting lineup because of that suspension, you could tell we missed him. But at the same time, when he's playing football games, you can tell that we need a better left back than him if we go up to the Premier League. He's not Premier League standard. He is Championship standard, but we just need somebody who's more defensively assured. Bidwell doesn't give you that. Miguel Angel Brau doesn't give you that. I think De Silva gives you that to a certain extent, but in games like this where it's very stretched, he really struggles because he wants to go forward and create that overlap for Mason Clark on the left, but at the same time, if he does that, because they're so quick on the counter-attack, Millwall, we just get caught out, and then that's when Grimes has to cover for De Silva or Mason Clark, and then that's when the issue arises. But like I said, it's the whole system of how Lampard wants to play. We want to play attacking, but then that creates big gaps in the defence and in the midfield, which I think we covered a lot today. Moving along to Rushworth, fantastic. Again, he's the one saving us points so many times this season. I made a post on X saying that he saved us, what, about 10 to 15 points already? We're bumping it up. We are bumping up every single game. 2 amazing saves today. And without him, you know, you're looking at the likes of Brad Collins, who we had last year in goal, Ben Wilson in goal, who is a good second choice goalkeeper. You can tell the levels are here to here. I mean, honestly, the way that he saves us, that save in the second half where their players running on the left-hand side, cut it into his right. It's a difficult save. At first you go, yeah, he probably should do a little bit better. But the height of the shot and the way that he lifts his hand up and stops it going over, and then De Silva clearing off the line, that is worth your weight in gold. I mean, he is so good in goal. Distribution today, I think, was excellent. I think he was one of our best players on the pitch. Yeah, he doesn't get the clean sheet that he deserves sometimes, but he's keeping us in games, which makes it so we can get that second goal. Which, moving along to the second goal, we bring on Victor Torp, Brandon Thomas Asante, Sakamoto, and they all have a good impact, especially Thomas Asante and Sakamoto. He gets it down the right-hand side, shimmies into his left, and finally he beats the first man on the cross, which has been my biggest criticism of him all season long, is not beating the first man. Puts it into Thomas Asante, who is credited with the assist. I mean, it's kind of a fumble in the box, let's be real. He didn't really lay it off to Hadji. Hadji does the good thing. He's got that confidence from the last game, scoring against Leicester, hits it, bang, goal. The goalkeeper probably should do a little bit better, but I don't care. It's on target, and that's the number one thing in football, is just get that ball on target and anything could happen. If you don't shoot, you don't score. And Hadji Wright shot today and he scored, and he's the hero again. I mean, he's a player which it's all up there. Everybody knows that about Hadji. He's just one of these players who thrives on confidence. Some footballers are just ingrained into that sort of way of playing, and we can't really criticize him for that because that's just his personality trait at the end of the day. But I feel like with Brandon Thomas Asante in the game, he just thrives a lot more. They have that better partnership, and we saw that earlier in the season when Hadji was bagging all those goals. Thomas Asante was there in the starting lineup. So maybe going into the Norwich game, you would drop Jack Radoni and put Thomas Asante there alongside Hadji Wright up front, which Ellis Sims today, when he came off the bench, didn't really do too much. That's not a knock on him. He only had, what, 9-10 minutes to make an impact. But it was really interesting to see how different we played with Hadji Wright up front compared to Sims. Hadji Wright held up the ball a lot more. We usually, when Ellis Sims is on the pitch, Ellis Sims usually flicks on the ball or tries to lay it off. Hadji Wright's more of a drop deep striker, hold up the play it down the wingers. And talking about Millwall, Azes on the right hand side. I can't pronounce his name. He was fantastic for them. I mean, I would snap him up in a heartbeat, but we've got too many wingers at the club. And you can see why Millwall are where they are in the table. They are a fantastic team. They are so dangerous. Every time they went forward, I was a little bit crapping my pants, I'm not going to lie. They're a good, dogged team. They put in some hard challenges, but fair challenges. The referee today let a lot go, which I was thankful for, because it was one of those games where you knew what type of game it was going to be with these two teams. Millwall going into it on confidence with a strong team, electric, and then same with Coventry. So I was thankful that the referee didn't ruin anything. There was one call in the game where we were flagged for offside for SA, but he didn't touch the ball. We went forward and scored. I can see both arguments. I can see that SA did involve himself in the sense of their player running towards the ball and then ran into SA. SA didn't block him though. He just turned around and he just ran into him, which stopped him getting towards the ball. And then other people will say, yeah, but he's still interfering with play, which I understand. It didn't really affect the outcome in the end, which I'm thankful for. And we get the 3 points at home at the CVS. So that's a little bit of my match reaction to that. So I don't think it was terrible like some people are saying, under par. I think going forward we're really good. We created so many chances. But again, it's just that defence and the midfield that needs a little bit shoring up. Take it 2 steps back, go back to basics and shore up that defence, because if we come up against a side like we're going to come up against Middlesbrough in a few weeks' time, we need to be ready for that. So we're going to move into my player ratings now for the game. Carl Rushworth in goal, 8 out of 10. Didn't put a foot wrong today. Fantastic. Unfortunate not to get a clean sheet. Made some huge saves in the game. De Silva at left back, I'll give him a generous 6.5. I think defensively, again, getting caught out too many times. Everything seems to come down his side. Nothing seems to come down Milan's side, really. And teams have notified that he's a weakness. And it's not saying that he's a poor football player. It's just that he's not as good as Milan, and that showed today. I don't think he was helped with Mason Clark, with him tracking back at all, but I feel like he should do a little bit better on a couple of instances in that game. Kitchen, I'm going to go with a 6.5. I think distribution a couple of times today was good, especially that switch to SA, and some good headers out of the box. But we did concede that goal, and I don't know if it was him marking him or it was Latibodier, but that goal I feel like should not be allowed to come into the box. They shouldn't win the ball freely in the box like that anyways, and even though it was a good finish, they shouldn't be getting that unmarked, if you know what I mean. Latibodier, I'll give him a 6.5. Good performance from him, and when I say 6.5 for him, good, and then 6.5 for Kitchen, not that great, it's because levels. Latibodier hasn't really played for us this season. He comes into it, puts in 2 really good performances. I'm giving him a 6.5, and Kitchen, compared to what he did previously this season, he should be at a 7, 7.5 every single game. So that's what it means. The same ratings, but different standards for both players. But I think like he kept his own a few times. They went forward and it was a 2v1 against him, and he kind of fumbled over the ball and won his possession back. I think he did a really good job. I don't think he's really put a foot wrong at all when he's come back into the lineup. So I was very happy with him. Milan at right back, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Again, I think defensively fantastic today, especially with that moment that I mentioned where he cut out that pass where they could have went 1-0 up. One of the best right backs in the league for a reason. Pace merchant. He did use his pace a few times today. Thankfully, they didn't exploit his long throw-ins that he usually goes to the other side to take. So it was pretty good performance by him. Grimes in the midfield, 7 out of 10. Second half fell off a cliff. I mean, you could just tell he was knackered in that midfield. We need somebody to either come in this transfer window to cover his role, or you get Josh Eccles to do it, train him up to drop into that back 5, which he's done a few times this season when Grimes has like pushed up a little bit more. But I feel like we need Grimes to get some rest going into these next 5 games of the season. Next to him, Josh Eccles, I think he was decent. He wasn't as good as he was last game, but I'll give him a 6.5. I feel like he went wandering in the second half. Again, he had that chance in the second half where he whipped it, and I thought that was going top bins. I was ready to jump off my seat, but unfortunately, it just went wide. Other than that, could have done a lot better today, in my opinion. Moving along to SA, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Probably the second best player on the pitch for me. Electric, doing the flicks as he usually does. When we're winning games, it's fantastic. When we're not winning games, that will come a problem in the fan base. I can guarantee you that. He'll be known as one of these players who is a flair player, who likes to show off. But I think it shows confidence in his ability. I mean, if you're a footballer on the pitch doing spin moves, doing back heels, and it's coming off, you're just thriving, you're just building that momentum, you're building that sort of confidence that you need going into these sort of games, and especially against his ex-club, scoring a goal also, I think he did really well. So just look out for that on the fan base. If we start losing games, people will look at that and go, oh, why is he trying to express himself? You know, he needs to do the basic stuff, which is kind of valid, but at the same time, it's an easy criticism you can put towards him when we're not winning. But yeah, I think he did really well today. Jack Radoni, where do we go from here? Where do we go? I'll give him a 6 out of 10. I don't think he's as poor as everyone's saying. People say he slows down the game, but at the same time, the wingers slow down the game when they're trying to beat their man one-on-one. I understand that he's the creative 10 in the team, and he's not doing what he did last year. I don't remember when the last time Jack Radoni went into the box for a header. Last year, he was doing that constantly and scoring loads of goals. This season, he just doesn't seem like he wants to play in that 10 role. He likes to drift out to the right and then he gets in Esse's way, or he likes to drift out to the left and gets in Mason Clark's way. He doesn't like to be that sort of number 10 in behind, which is really baffling to me because he did it last year and he did a good job. So a 6 out of 10, he's not at it. Do we drop him for the next game? That's going to be in my preview. I think it's pretty obvious what we do with him, but you're going to have to wait for my preview to see what I do, if he starts or if he goes to the bench. Moving to Haji Wright, 7.5 out of 10. I mean, this guy, when he's on it, he's on it. He's one of the best strikers in the league for a reason. 10 goals now in the Championship, and I think that's joint goal scorers with Brandon Thomas Asante and Ellis Sims. So we have 3 strikers at the club on 10 goals apiece, sharing the load. And what I loved about him today, again, was dropping deep, covering positions, covering Radoni when he was on the right-hand side. He would drop into that number 10 role, just screen across their back 4. It was really impressive to see just his mindset change. Again, getting that goal in the second half. It wasn't a clean goal, but a goal is a goal at the end of the day. It gets us the 3 points. He understands that. And maybe he's just turning it on for the World Cup. I don't know. We don't know him personally. It's all speculation at this point. Some people said that it could be because he wanted a transfer move. That's why he wasn't playing well and he just wanted to get out. We don't know if that's true or not. But what we do know is true is that he's a confidence player and he scored 2 goals in 2 games in 2 crucial home matches to get 6 points over the line for us. So I'm very happy that he's back to his best. Moving along to the substitutions, we got Victor Torp, a 6 out of 10 for me. He did make a 20-25 minute cameo. I don't remember anything fantastic that he did. I think he had 1 shot in the game and that was about it. Brandon Thomas Asante gets the assist for the goal, so I'll give him a 6.5. You can just tell the difference between him and Jack Radoni in that number 10 role. He just covers so much ground and he's just so quick, so strong at that number 10 role, and he's got to play there in the upcoming games. Moving to Tats, you've got to give him a 6.5. Again, he's the reason why we scored the second goal, cutting in on his left-hand side, whipping the ball into the box. Without him, we don't score that goal, and he looks a lot sharper now. That's something about Tats. Apparently, Lampard said in the post-match interview that he had an illness and he was playing through that, and that's why he wasn't at his best recently, which you can look back and say, yeah, I can definitely see that. It's just annoying that we don't get told that at the time, because now I feel a little bit bad for criticizing him a lot, but I have to go off the information that I've been given at that time. So it's nice to see him back to his sharpness, back to feeling fit, and it just makes so much difference that we have options off the bench now. Tats, Brandon Thomas Asante, Victor Torp, Ellis Sims coming off the bench. I'm not saying that we have as good of a bench as Ipswich Town, but it's still a fantastic one. It's probably top 6 in the league, I would say now. It's really good. And talking about Ellis Sims, I'll give him a 6 out of 10. I mean, he didn't do anything at all. He made 1 run in behind, which he should have been played through. But yeah, he just existed on the pitch. Moving along to Frank Lampard, I will give him a 9 out of 10. It's a tough game. This is a big victory. You don't understand how huge this is. Back-to-back wins for the first time in a long time. It's felt like months since we had a back-to-back victory in the league, and 2 home games where you have to win your home games to win the league season. And that's what we did. We've won back-to-back home games, 6 points, and he's made changes at the right time. 70th minute in the game, the subs come on. Thomas Asante, Sakamoto, they impact the game. We get the goal. It's got to be that rating for Frank Lampard. He definitely deserves it today. Huge praise for him. His in-game management is improving every single game that I see from him. So that's my match reaction to Coventry 2, Millwall 1. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your play ratings for the Coventry players? And what are your thoughts on the game? Do you think we played really poor? Do you think we played really good? Do you think you're like me, where going forward we were really good, and then defensively / midfield we could have done a lot better? Let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this match reaction, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. As I mentioned, we're trying to hit 800 subscribers before the end of January. I'd much appreciated. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Play up Sky Blues.